collection is inspired by my heritage. I was thinking about the people and the places who have cared for me or have made me feel safe.
My collection is really inspired by growing up in my childhood in Brooklyn and commemorating the people that influenced me, specifically my abuela. So I feel really lucky that I was able to use her old stuff and carry that into my work.
What inspired me for these pieces are legendary Latina women like Frida Kahlo, Selena Quintanilla, and Jenny Rivera, who have challenged and broke barriers in the industries they worked in.
My collection is inspired by ballet, the costumes worn on stage, but I also added some fabrics and trim and embellishments.
With the theme of the show being legends this year, I wanted to kind of think of legends that I feel like you don't hear as much about, and so I was thinking about the Fountain of Youth.
The collection is inspired by teachers in my life that made an impact, and I take aspects from teachers that I think are legendary. Those teachers were fundamental to me.
When I think legends, I think King Arthur just came to mind because it's not folklore, it's not really a myth, it's just kind of like a story that's just there. And so then I kind of got even more heavily inspired by the actual era than the original legend that I was focusing on.
I decided to do deep sea lore. So it's all surrounding boats and nautical myths like the Kraken and the Flying Dutchman, as well as mermaids and christening a boat with a bottle of champagne.
In my collection, I use a lot of plaster and sculptural objects. I spent a lot of time in the studio just to try to prove if some of these architectural hypotheses would work and to kind of push myself to explore a new medium.
Good evening, everyone. It is my immense pleasure on behalf of the Gallatin community to welcome you to Legends, the 13th annual Gallatin Fashion Show. I have really been thinking all week as I've been attending all of the Gallatin Fashion Week events about the extraordinary difference of studying fashion at a place like Gallatin because of the talent and the commitment of our interdisciplinary faculty, and because of the creativity, exuberance, and passion that our students bring to this work.
Tell us a little bit about your Gallatin experience. Is there anything in your experience that made you change your outlook on fashion in some way, or the way you approach your collection?
So I'm taking fashion as art, and then I also created a tutorial this semester. It really taught me that there's different iterations that fashion pieces take on in an art space.
I am a Gallatin alum and picked up all kinds of different, seemingly disparate skills, but I've always thought as a mixed media, multidisciplinary artist that where one thing limits you, just try something else.
I was at Gallatin from 2011 to 2015. I studied art history and fashion business, and what was really exciting to me during my time at Gallatin was to see the diversity of thought throughout every undergrad and sort of the dynamic conversations that it inspired in each class. Thank you so much for coming tonight. The theme tonight is Legends, and I'm sure it will be a legendary show, so thank you.
I wanted to incorporate having corsets and kind of armor-inspired wear, but contrasting that with some kind of loose and flowy kind of pieces. Putting a modern twist on kind of that medieval fashion and making it, more feminine, more fun, and modern. The collection took inspiration from mahjong sets from the East, but also the stoic look of the statue, but reimagine it to see what would that be if it lives in space, and also add a bit of grace.
I interpreted the legends of creatures and their mythos across multiple cultures and blended them into fashion to sort of bridge fantasy and clothing.
For this collection, I was really thinking about storytelling and fashion. I really wanted to create narrative through clothing. My collection is about a woman who is obsessed with her appearance and doesn't like how she looks, and so she gets plastic surgery, but it goes wrong, and so she kind of has like a character switch and kind of embraces the evil within her.
Selena was known for making bustiers with beads on it, and she has inspired me to make a bustier like with beads on it, especially with the Jenny Rivera. She has a lot of embroidered flowers on her outfits when singing on stage, so I incorporated flowers on my pieces.
Taking from the theme of legends, I kind of thought about Western movies and Western style clothing that comes in and out of trend so often, and how both have shaped the legend of the American cowboy as we know it in the US, and how that has distorted the true kind of histories that those legends pull from.
We were really inspired by the way that multiple versions of the same urban legend can appear simultaneously in our respective cultures. We hope to explore themes of female rage, trauma, vengeance, and destructive beauty.
I feel really strongly about moving through the world responsibly. There's just so much like junk textiles, so much textile waste. So everything that I make is basically made of garbage.
I just basically took a color for each subject. I really took like 5 basic subjects that everyone takes in high school: English, science, history, math, and art. Just took aspects of teachers that I liked and worked them into those 5.
My approach that I took with legend was kind of to see what that word means in my life. So that's how I ended up gravitating towards my childhood and the legend of my family. And then I also included some legends. There's fairy tales, mermaids.
I really wanted to play with the idea of everlasting beauty and what that might look like in clothes. I just kind of thought that like roses typically something that people want and they covet after, and I thought that that kind of was an interesting angle to play at.
All the costumes are inspired by legends on ballet stages. I just did my own rendition of it and more modern interpretation with more mini skirts and sparkles. I feel like my collection's a more grown-up version of how I used to dress when I was younger, so I kind of feel inspired by my childhood self.
So I've grown up on the water all my life. It's a part of everything I do. So I wanted to really incorporate my roots. I wanted it to be something that I could look back on and be like, yes, that is me as a designer and that's me as a person, because I think it's so special when artists incorporate their own background and their life into their art, because it makes it all that much more meaningful.
Can we have another round of applause for our amazing show? Models and Glam Squad, come on down. Round of applause for our designers. The collections were incredible, and I hope you all enjoyed your evening.